Moran Ortagus, Deputy Middle East Envoy, former spokesperson for the U.S. State Department, with us. There is news on this Tuesday night. Morgan, help me understand, when the president says long-term ownership position of Gaza, what exactly does that mean, and who is going to throw all of Hamas out before the U.S. troops arrive?
Well, I'll answer the second part first. Getting rid of Hamas and making sure that they are unable to govern Gaza and to be in control of Gaza has been a goal of Prime Minister Netanyahu's of Israel since October 7th. And if you listen to the interviews with National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, for example, he's also said, and Rubio, Secretary of State Rubio, have all said that Hamas was not going to be able to stay in power and to govern in Gaza. That was an untenable situation. Listen, we didn't want the Nazis to stay in power. We, in the first Trump administration, made sure that ISIS no longer had a caliphate, a territorial caliphate. So whenever you seek to destroy your enemy, the whole point at the end of the war is to make sure that that enemy can no longer govern. And in my opinion, I think the Prime Minister and, of course, now the President and his team have been we've been very clear about that. As it relates to ownership and how this is all going to work out from a legal perspective, we'll have a lot of clarity for you in the coming days. But I think the point of the press conference tonight is exactly how you started off with your viewers, Leland. President Trump has looked at the past 50 years of war and chaos in the Middle East and has certainly looked, at the past 16 to 20 years in Gaza, which has not been a life that any of us would want for the Palestinian people. I've heard President Trump constantly talk about how he wants dignity and respect for the Palestinian people. And my boss, Steve Witkoff, went to Gaza last week. He was the first American official there in 15 years, and he went there because he wanted to see it firsthand. And as a real estate developer, as someone who knows a thing or two about having to do construction and buildings, he looked at it and reported back to the president that he thought it was basically uninhabitable. So is it prudent? Is it humane to make these people live in squalor, to make them live in conditions where you have unexploded ordnance that could harm children? This is not a situation that we would put our children in, and nor do we want the Gazan people to have to put their own children in this situation.
Okay, a lot there. I'm thinking about much of that 1.8 million population of Gaza support Hamas, and a lot of them have been radicalized by Iran. We've seen reports of somewhere between 30 and 50% at least have decided to rejoin Hamas and replace the fighters. What makes you think that Egypt or Jordan or the United Arab Emirates or Qatar or Saudi Arabia are going to want to take a bunch of terrorist sympathizers?
Well, we'll see where they end up going. I know President Trump and his team are going to reach out to countries around the world. I will say, I've been doing this for a hot minute, as you know, Leland, and I actually lived in Saudi Arabia as a Treasury attaché in 2010 and 11 and was working very closely with the kingdom on counterterrorism issues. And actually, one of the best de-radicalization programs has been in Saudi Arabia. This is something that they have worked on for a very long time. They've been able to take people who have been radicalized and put it through this program. So there is a model. There are places around the Middle East where you could look. But we've said since the beginning since October 7th, Republicans, but now, of course, Bibi Netanyahu has said this as well for the past year and a half, that you not only have to demilitarize Gaza, you have to de-radicalize Gaza. And I don't think putting those people, and I don't think the president I don't think the president thinks that putting those people back in a situation where they are living in a demolition zone is going to be a way to de-radicalize the place or to demilitarize the place. Also, remember, we still don't know. We guess that at least 30% of the tunnels in Gaza haven't been discovered yet. So how do you build a new building on top of that when you don't even know what's going on underneath?
Well, that's where the hostages are. That's where Hamas's still weapon stores are. Morgan, thank you very much for hopping out. We know you've got a big night ahead, and we'll check in soon. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.